Oak Island nights are often terrifying, but this new discovery on Lot 5 is literally game-changing. Rick and the team were just doing a normal metal scan when suddenly the machine detected a spike of 4.8 density, a number considered extremely rare on Oak Island. The crew thought it might be a misreading, but as they ran the scan a second time, the signal became twice as strong, as if something heavily sealed was buried underground. The team's faces displayed the same mix of fear and excitement that only exists on Oak Island. The biggest shock came when the ground microphone picked up a faint metallic thud sound from 22 feet below. This wasn't the sound of natural rock. It felt like an engineered surface. A crew member whispered, "If this isn't just rock, there's something huge inside." And trust me, everyone on site fell silent upon hearing that line. Even the air felt heavy, as if the ground itself was hiding a secret. Scanners also captured the shape of the cavity, a hollow space approximately 12 by 8 feet. Such a clear cavity reading has been seen on Oak Island perhaps only twice in years. Rick asked to turn off the camera because the situation didn't seem normal. Lot 5 is already full of rumors. Unknown boot prints were found here before, and a thermal scan once detected a moving signature of heat at 2 a.m. If this new cavity is connected to that trail, the entire history of Oak Island could be turned upside down. Brother, honestly, if you don't subscribe, the next twist will literally pass you by. Oak Island's biggest mystery is about to be revealed, and you won't want to miss it. Work was underway on Lot 5, and everyone thought they wouldn't find anything significant today. But suddenly, the scanner made a sound that made the entire crew pause for a second. A sharp 4.8 density spike appeared on the screen, which is considered extremely rare on Oak Island. Some thought the machine might be glitching, but the operator immediately ran another scan, and the same spike appeared again. The crew's faces showed a mixed reaction, half fear and half excitement, as if something major was about to be revealed. Rick simply said, "Guys, this is not normal," and the atmosphere became completely heavy. The scanner's second reading made things even more serious. The signal was twice as clear as the first, as if something heavy, metallic, was breathing deep down in the soil. Marty zoomed in on the screen, and the depth reading was constantly jumping around 21 to 23 feet, suggesting a structured surface beneath, not natural rock. The crew circled a small spot with a marker, and everyone slowly gathered around it. On this island, even the smallest sound holds a significant meaning, so this spike didn't seem like a joke. The scanner operator's voice trembled. "Sir, this reading isn't a joke. There's something big here." The team decided to perform a second scan of the same spot in deep mode, which can read the shape of a cavity. As the scanner began its slow sweep, the outline of a hollow space inside began to appear on the screen. At first, vague dots appeared, but after a few seconds, a clear shape emerged, a cavity approximately 12 by 8 feet. Rick leaned over and took a closer look at the screen and said, "This is not random. Someone made this." The edges of the cavity were perfectly curved, as if someone had carved a chamber or vault inside. Finding such a clear geometric cavity reading on Oak Island is almost unheard of. Scan imagery of the cavity also revealed a faint metallic reflection at one point, which further surprised the team. This reflection doesn't come from natural rock. It occurs when there's metal or an engineered surface inside. Emma turned on the AI analyzer, and within seconds, the AI detected two distinct material zones inside the cavity. The first zone was soft soil, but the second zone was dense and smooth, like the thin walls of an old vault. The AI model predicted man-made structure, 72% probability. Upon reading this statement, the crew members looked at each other, as if their heartbeats had stopped for a moment. The team was now in a completely serious mood, everyone understanding that Lot 5 was no longer just a normal digging area. Something was hidden here that had probably remained untouched for decades. There was a strange tension in the air, as if the ground itself was hiding a secret and was afraid to come out. Rick quietly said, "If this cavity is real, then something very old and very important could be hidden there." That line made the moment even more cinematic. Crew members put down equipment and began setting up small light poles to make the scan clearer. Moments like these don't come often in Oak Island's history, and everyone knew that tonight might be the night that would change the entire story. A few minutes after the deep scan, the team set up a ground mic to clearly hear every vibration and sound coming from below. As soon as the mic was pressed into the soil and the system turned on, initially only normal ground static was heard. But in the third second, a sharp, hollow metallic thud suddenly emerged from the speaker, as if something heavy had slightly moved within the rock. The crew looked at each other, no one even breathed. This sound lacked that natural touch. It was the noise of a flat, engineered surface, the kind that only comes from human-made objects. The mic operator increased the volume slightly, and then the same thud came again, this time a little deeper and a little sharper. The sound's origin showed a depth of 22 feet, exactly where the cavity signal had come. Rick bent down and touched the soil and said, "Guys, there's something solid down there. This isn't rock." Now the entire team stood in a circle around the spot, as if everyone knew that this small sound was actually a doorway to a much bigger truth. The air felt heavy and cold, as if the ground itself was burying an ancient story. The crew's vibe was a combination of fear, excitement, and disbelief. The moment was so strange that the entire site went completely silent for a few seconds. Someone even turned off their walkie-talkie to avoid any extra noise. Marty softly asked, "Could it be a lid? A vault door?" And no one could immediately answer. Everyone focused on the clarity and rhythm of the sound. The engineer explained that such a thud is usually only heard when there's a flat metallic plate, wooden beam cover, or human-made slab underneath. The excitement on the crew's faces suddenly turned to fear, as this find was so different from normal Oak Island finds. This wasn't a clue. It looked like an entire structure. Within minutes, the situation became so serious that Rick took an unexpected step. He told the producers, "Turn off the cameras now." The producers panicked because cameras are rarely turned off on Oak Island, but Rick's tone was such that no one questioned it. The cameramen immediately lowered their lenses and turned off their boom mics. The crew suddenly realized that this moment might not be for TV. This was something big. Something that wouldn't be safe to show without understanding it first. Rick simply said, "We need a private talk. Abby." He pulled Marty aside. Marty's face was completely serious, and he immediately took out his phone and called someone. The call wasn't a short one. His tone was low and urgent, as if he were talking to someone who already knew the island's oldest secrets. The producers, standing at a distance, looked at each other, panic evident on their faces. They couldn't understand why the cameras suddenly needed to be turned off. A few minutes later, Rick and Marty returned, but their expressions were different. Rick told the team, "Whatever footage has been taken, don't air it. Don't even preview it." The producers were shocked, as they had never seen Rick so protective. Marty quietly said, "There's something here that we didn't expect." The crew was completely confused, but no one asked questions, because the atmosphere of the site itself indicated that the object below was not just a metallic object, perhaps a sealed structure of some ancient group. The cameras being off that night was one of the strangest things in Oak Island history. The crew felt as if the sound of this ground mic had changed the entire story. A metallic thud, and the entire island suddenly became eerie. Rick finally said, "If this is true, then we are standing before a discovery that will change the world's view of Oak Island." That sentence alone made everyone silent. Suspense hung in the air, and Lot 5 was no longer just a digging spot, but a ticking mystery. Lot 5 has always been considered the quietest, yet most dangerous part of Oak Island. Strange rumors have circulated for years that someone had intentionally disturbed the site. First, in the 1970s, some unknown boot prints were found. Neither crew nor tourists, just random large footprints that looked as if someone sneaked in at night and then left without much movement. Then, several years later, a thermal drone scan at 2 a.m. revealed moving heat signatures, as if a human-density figure was moving through the trees. The crew watched the footage several times, but no one could figure out who it was or where it went. The discovery of abandoned tools on Lot 5 was also a major mystery. Some rusted shovels, an old pickaxe, and a half-broken wooden stake. None of them had any identification marks. It seemed as if someone had suddenly stopped digging and disappeared, leaving everything behind. Local legends also say that people would come to Oak Island at night and take or hide things through underground passages. Older residents say that in the 1800s, there was a story about a narrow tunnel beneath Lot 5, called the Side Channel, through which people could access the main money pit without surfacing. Whenever the crew brought equipment to this area, there was a strange, uneasy feeling, as if someone was watching them. Sometimes, metal detectors picked up faint signals that pointed to something buried, but digging turned up nothing, as if someone was intentionally moving things. Rick always said, "Whatever's on Lot 5 never comes to the surface easily." And now that new cavity signals and metallic sounds have been discovered, these old rumors suddenly seem more real. Now comes the matter of soil testing, which further deepened this mystery. When the team extracted soil from different layers and sent it to the lab, a strange thing first emerged. The top layers were completely natural, but at 14 feet, the soil suddenly became compacted. This meant someone had compressed the soil, as if the upper surface had been manually pressed down to conceal a structure. Normal natural soil doesn't have such a pressure pattern. This clearly indicates human interference. The test report stated, "Soil density irregular, artificial compression suspected." Then, charcoal traces were found, which were even more shocking. Charcoal indicates a controlled fire or heating process in the area. Why would anyone do this? Either someone sealed a wooden structure, or someone burned it to hide a tunnel. Walnut-sized metallic dust particles were also found in the soil, pointing to a mixture of iron oxide and copper. This is the same combination found in old tools, anchors, or vault hinges. This means there are signs of decay of a metallic structure underneath. The biggest twist was in the soil's stratigraphy. Older layers were disturbed, as if someone had dug up the ground centuries ago and then refilled it. Normal island soil doesn't have such layering. It was a perfectly engineered filling pattern, with lower layers looser than upper layers. The meaning was clear. The ground had been opened once, then something heavy was placed inside, and then the soil was filled back in. When Emma shared these test results with the team, no one was able to speak for a few seconds. Rick said softly, "If the soil has been compressed so carefully, then nothing simple would be hidden beneath it. Every irregularity in the soil, every metallic particle, and every burned trace suggested that beneath Lot 5 lay a structure that someone had tried to keep secret for centuries. And now, signals were indicating that perhaps that secret was finally about to reach the surface. Oak Island's most mysterious place was on the verge of being uncovered. The new discovery of Lot 5 has raised a major question. Which era could this spot be associated with? Oak Island's history is as complicated as its theories. Many experts believe the site may be linked to the Templars, as some old European maps from the EE 1300s show a forbidden cross site near a shape resembling Oak Island. A sketch on Portuguese maps from the 1500s references a strange sealed depot on the coast of Nova Scotia, which closely resembles the location of Lot 5 today. This match doesn't seem accidental, especially since European-style carvings have previously been found on the island. British military theory is also strong. In the 1700s, the British established several secret supply depots in this region, hidden away from water to prevent them from being discovered by the French or pirates. Oak Island's Lot 5 is isolated, tree-covered, and elevated, the perfect place for a military stash. Some researchers suggest that compressed layers found in Lot 5's soil strongly resemble British engineering styles. If true, there could be military equipment, weapon crates, or sealed chests beneath. The pirate activity theory has always been the most popular story surrounding Oak Island. Many historians believe that pirates like Captain Kidd or Labuse used the island as temporary storage. Lot 5 was perfect for that era. Thick forest, flat ground, and a hidden access route near the coast. Metallic dust particles found in the soil may also indicate the remains of an old iron-bound chest or anchor plate beneath. Such chests were often used by pirates to lock precious cargo. Mi'kmaq legends also add to this location's mystery. Local Mi'kmaq stories tell of forbidden grounds on the island where ancestors guarded some unknown underground spirit or ancient object. These legends also say that there were places where strange metallic echoes emanated from the ground, meaning the thud sound detected by the microphone at Lot 5 today could be an echo of those legends. So many theories make it clear. Lot 5 isn't just a normal digging site, it's likely a preserved secret from a forgotten era. With all these connections to history, the crew was now to begin their first dig attempt, and the atmosphere was so tense that everyone looked unusually serious in their positions. The excavator was moved very slowly toward the center of the lot, as Rick didn't want to disturb the shape of the cavity. As the machine's large bucket began to lightly scrape the ground, every inch of soil removed felt like a heartbeat. Crew members literally held their breath, watching as if something could emerge from beneath at any moment. The first layer of soil was perfectly normal, moist soil and a little gravel. But as the bucket removed the second layer, everyone noticed some strange stones. These weren't ordinary stones. Their alignment was clearly patterned, as if someone had placed them by hand centuries ago to create a structure. The edges of the stones were smooth, and some had flat surfaces, whereas natural stones are usually uneven. Rick bent down and said, "Guys, this has been deliberately placed. These are not random rocks." The stone pattern was so unusual that the crew immediately slowed down digging. The excavator was now removing soil in small scoops. Each time the bucket was lifted, the pattern would become more exposed, and each time the layout looked even more unnatural. Marty noted that the stones followed a curve, much like the boundary of an ancient entrance or wall. Such placement had only been seen on Oak Island for the second time, and the first time it had been found. It was near the money pit. The crew's fear and excitement were now growing simultaneously. Every stone looked like it was part of something bigger hidden beneath. Cameras zoomed in on the crew's faces, and that old Oak Island vibe was evident in their eyes. Something's here, and it might be coming out today. Lot 5 was now a war zone of history and present, and the next scoop of this dig might just reveal Oak Island's biggest story. As the stone pattern was being revealed, the excavator stumbled upon something unexpected. The bucket removed the soil, revealing a long, dark brown wooden beam underneath. But this wasn't new or random wood. Its surface was perfectly smooth, as if someone had cut it with tools and shaped it perfectly. Rick immediately got down, removed the soil, and, waving his hands over it, said, "This isn't natural driftwood. Someone made it." The crew removed a small piece of the beam and sent it for carbon dating that evening. By nightfall, the results came back. The timber was approximately 270 to 310 years old. Upon hearing this, the site fell into a deep silence. Old axe tool marks were clearly visible on the beam's edges, as if a carpenter had cut it centuries ago. The cuts were so straight that it couldn't have been random forest wood. Marty said, "If it's 300 years old, it could be from the time of the British military, old pirates, or the Templars." Faint water lines were also visible in some places on the beam's surface, suggesting the wood was part of a water channel or underground structure. History of water flow engineering had been found on Oak Island before, but finding such engineered wood on Lot 5 was a game-changer. As the crew was trying to remove the beam, the soil underneath suddenly began to loosen, and it appeared the beam was tightly fitted to a larger structure. The meaning was clear. The beam wasn't just a mystery in itself, but part of an entire hidden architecture. Emma suggested it might be a support beam from an old tunnel, or a side support for a sealed vault. Every test, every mark, every texture indicated this was a centuries-old crafted site, not natural. The crew's excitement turned to fear, as engineered structures meant something heavy could be buried underneath, or even a trap. By nightfall, the dig was supposed to be closed according to local regulations, but Rick decided a little nighttime work was necessary to verify the cavity. The crew was setting up light towers when suddenly, in the distance, 3 black SUVs were seen approaching the site. None had license plates. The cars stopped right at the edge of the site, and some unknown people got out. Dark jackets, no badges, and they just silently watched the dig site. Crew members whispered to each other, "Who are these people?" Their facial expressions gave off a very official vibe. Rick immediately called Marty, and the two talked in a private corner. Producers were also tense, as such vehicles often come to Oak Island only when something major is happening. The people who got out of the SUVs wandered around the site but did not speak to anyone. They simply kept glancing around, as if trying to determine what exactly had been found below. The scene felt as if a high-level authority was quietly observing. A few minutes later, a man approached Rick and softly said, "You need to wrap up the dig for tonight." The voice was calm, but the tone sounded threatening. Rick tried to question him, but the man simply said, "Area restricted until morning review." The crew was in shock. Marty told the producers not to capture this moment on camera, as it had become beyond a normal TV moment. When the dig was immediately stopped and the spot was sealed with tape, the crew felt a chilling sensation, as if someone had been monitoring this part of Oak Island before. Light towers were turned off, machines were turned off, and black SUVs remained parked at a distance until late at night, as if ensuring no one gained access. The crew's eyes held only one question: what did we touch? Lot 5 was no longer just an archaeological site. It had become a restricted zone. Beams, cavity signals, engineered wood, and now unknown officials. All of this proved that beneath Lot 5 lay something that had likely been unnoticed for centuries, and was now very close to coming to the surface. After a night of tension, the next morning the team first turned on the AI 3D reconstruction scanner to clearly understand the cavity's internal shape. As the depth model began taking readings, the cavity slowly began to form in 3D on the screen. At first, only a large hollow was visible, but after a few seconds, the AI divided the cavity into two distinct layers. The top chamber was approximately 12 by 8 feet, and a second chamber was visible in faint outlines below it. Emma zoomed in and explained that the bottom chamber was about 6 to 7 feet deeper, making the entire structure resemble a multi-layer vault. The AI model also showed a thin, curved line in the middle of the cavity, which could possibly be a small connecting tunnel connecting the two chambers. The thickness of this tunnel was very small, but the AI clearly identified it in its faint density mapping. Such a tunnel doesn't form naturally. It's part of an engineered layout. Rick was stunned and said, "If there are two chambers, then something specific must have been placed in both of them." The concept of a multi-layer vault is rare in Oak Island's history, but the precision with which the cavity was built clearly suggested it was the work of an ancient group. The most shocking detail was the density difference. The top chamber's density was normal, but the bottom chamber's density appeared to be almost twice as strong. Emma explained that high density meant either a metallic object inside or some kind of compressed treasure storage. The crew was watching the screen in complete silence. Someone quietly asked, "Could it be a vault within a vault?" And this possibility sent literal chills down everyone's spine. A multi-layer vault meant the top chamber could just be a decoy. The real thing could be hidden underneath. The AI's processing revealed another detail. The bottom chamber contained faint outlines of rectangular shapes, like a long box or a heavy chest. The AI showed a 44% certainty, but even in such low visibility, this outline was clearly unnatural. The entire crew now understood that Lot 5 wasn't just a random hollow. It was perhaps the most engineered place on Oak Island. Rick said, "This design doesn't exist naturally. Someone built this." And for the first time, the entire team seriously believed Lot 5 had solved a decades-old secret. After the AI reconstruction was complete, the crew began actual digging to physically touch the upper chamber. The excavator operator was put in strictly slow mode, as there could be a fragile or dangerous mechanism underneath. The machine was barely removing every inch of soil. Suddenly, there was a loud "kee-lang," as if the bucket had collided directly with a hard metallic surface. The sound was so clear and heavy that the entire site fell silent for a second. The operator immediately stopped the machine and reached down to see that one of the front metal teeth of the excavator bucket was slightly bent, meaning what was underneath wasn't normal rock. Rock couldn't have damaged the bucket with that much force. Rick said in a serious voice, "Metallic object. No doubt." The crew's panic level suddenly increased. Marty removed the soil with his hand and glimpsed a smooth, flat metallic surface underneath. An even sharper edge at the corner, like the corner of a large plate or lid. The vibration meter was also giving crazy readings. At the moment of impact, the needle spiked high, which only happens on a solid engineered surface. Natural stones emit irregular vibrations, but this reading was a uniform metallic echo. Emma said fearfully, "This can't be natural. There's some structure here." Now the crew was carefully brushing the area. As the dust cleared, the metallic plate became a little clearer. Dark gray, smooth texture, and, in some places, parallel lines, which could have been cuts from old tools. This wasn't a random sheet. It looked like the outer surface of a vault. The crew's heartbeats literally raced as they knew they had touched the ceiling or lid of a centuries-old sealed chamber. Rick finally uttered one line, "Whatever happens to the bucket, imagine what happens inside it." Hearing this, the crew lapsed into deep silence. Lot 5 was no longer just mysterious. It had officially become Oak Island's most engineered and dangerous vault. Upon finding a metallic surface, the crew continued digging, but as another layer of soil was removed, water suddenly began to surge up from below. Initially, it was thought to be normal groundwater, but the water's velocity was so fast that no one expected it. Within minutes, the entire area around the chamber became wet and unstable. The water level was rising 2 to 3 inches every 20 to 30 seconds, as if water was being pushed through an invisible pipeline. Emma immediately exclaimed, "This isn't natural seepage. This looks engineered." The strangest thing was the drainage pattern. Water was rising, but the surrounding soil wasn't absorbing it. Normal soil absorbs water, but at Lot 5 the water was gathering in a circular shape, as if it had overflowed into a hidden chamber and was now searching for a surface. Marty, looking at the circle, said, "This is a perfect ring. There's some design here." Rick's eyes flashed with that old Oak Island disbelief, as if he were convinced someone had built a flood trap centuries ago to protect this vault. Trap engineering theory suddenly came alive again. A similar flood tunnel system had been found in Oak Island's Money Pit. The pattern was similar: controlled water entry, sudden pressure burst, and a single flow direction. The crew realized the metallic plate underneath was probably part of a larger mechanical system, like an ancient vault that flooded itself upon being disturbed. This design couldn't have been created by an ordinary human being. It resembled professional engineering, which makes its 300-year-old age even more frightening. The dig had to be temporarily halted due to rising water levels, but Emma continued operating the depth scanner. Just then, new numbers started flashing on the screen. Another strong signal was detected 30 to 35 feet below the deep cavity. This signal was almost twice as dense as the first, meaning there might be a second vault or a heavy metallic chest beneath. Rick literally froze. Looking at the screen, he said softly, "If this is the second vault below, then only the upper one will enter." The entire team fell silent, because this meant the real thing hadn't been touched yet. Now it was time for the official announcement. Rick looked at the camera and took a deep breath and said, "In the next phase, we will descend to 35 feet. The signal we're receiving is much stronger, and if we open it, Oak Island's history will change." This was a clear signal to fans that the next episode would be the most explosive, and the perfect moment for your signature line had arrived. After Rick's emotional pause, your dramatic CTA resonates. Brother, subscribe. If you miss the next twist, the world will see Oak Island's greatest discovery first, and you'll be left scratching your head.